What kept you?
Okay, so we are now live, and it's 3:25. We are waiting for Marina to join us. People are starting to check in. There's Tom. There is Marina. Where is Marina? There she is. Hello, Marina. How are you?
This is my best position that I can find out. With my best cup and my best little teapot.
Your technical team have done a brilliant job.
One person.
give that person.
We're not starting yet. No.
Give that person a chocolate biscuit. How are you doing?
Chocolate biscuits I ate last night. No, but we didn't start yet. No.
We're starting now. Everybody can see us. We're live, but we're really officially we start at 3:30, but we're on already.
Okay, but let's start 3:30. I'm ready for 3:30. I'm psychologically not prepared yet.
You're not prepared? Well, you've got 4 minutes to get yourself mentally prepared.
How many minutes? Hello. How many?
That's my technical team.
Natasha is joining us in Amsterdam. She just sent me an email. Said, when you're in, I say now.
Yeah,
so
totally.
she's going to be part of it.
Try to get online, and we'll give her a wave when she appears.
So you can see people literally?
No, you can. They can see you. They're all seeing us now. We're on live.
But they don't see. I don't see them.
You don't see them. You see me. Sorry about that.
No, I'm just curious.
No, you don't get to see them, but we can see lots of people joining the conversation. So it's supposed to start. Supposed to start at 3:30, but we got you in a little bit early, and now.
But where are you? You're in upstate.
We're upstate, and you're upstate too.
So we are okay, and we are in America.
We could do tea time together, but that would be cheating, and it wouldn't be about social distancing. So we we have to behave ourselves.
So I found this background as the most like a corner idea. I don't know.
Yeah, it's very nice. I can see Callum Sutton just joined us. Hello, Callum. How are you? I can see you've got trees behind you, but no foliage yet.
Yes, still nothing around.
There's nothing up here. It's ridiculous.
No. But tomorrow is going to be 24 degrees.
Let's have what? Yep, centigrade or Fahrenheit?
Yeah, that's the question. But listen, I see some strange things coming up, like little bubbles. Is that the people?
That's people sending you. That don't worry about that. That's there's a lot of people. There's Claribel, who's in Mexico. That's a lot of people joining the conversation. They're sending you love. It's rising up as bubbles. Wow. Callum is saying hello, you too. Hello, Callum. How are you doing?
Oh my God, I see now. I need the glasses to see that. I'm blind. I was thinking like a little balloons. I didn't know what.
I don't have balloons, and they're also hearts and all sorts of stuff.
I don't have Facebook. I don't have the internet. I don't have the Twitter. I don't have any of this.
No, I mean that's. I don't do any of that stuff, so I can't function on my own. So it's good that I've got Lauren here and you've got Todd there. Otherwise, we'd be completely and utterly useless.
I know.
I'm just gonna
deal communication is Xerox, Telegram, and fax.
Yeah, well, yeah, or pony or note being sent by a horse. I'm just going to pour my tea here.
Okay.
Just to
and
prove
that
we are doing this live. What sort of tea are you drinking, Marina?
It's a ginger water because I think Yorkshire Gold.
I thought we were going to do a mutual advertisement for Yorkshire Gold today. So you're drinking ginger water?
On the ginger water.
Well, cheers. Anyway, happy tea time. And it is almost 3:30. So at 3:30, we can actually officially pronounce that we are having tea together. Okay. When everybody's joined us. It is now 3:30. Happy tea time, Marina, and thank you for joining us on Tea Time with Sean. Today,
this is a proper English tea time.
This is the proper English tea time.
Have to be 3:30.
Exactly, and you know it's proper English tea time because Callum Sutton joined us just in time for tea. So he's a proper English gentleman, is Callum. Anyway,
Oh,
it's lovely to see you. So you're upstate, I'm upstate. But we're mutually distanced, and we have lots of questions for you. We've had lots of questions come in for you. So I'm gonna moderate. No, Katie Henry, tea time is not 4 o'clock. If you're a proper English person, it's 3:30. Just to get that absolutely straight. So Marina, how has this period been affecting you in terms of working? And I know you were just in Germany and then you came back from Austria and you traveled through an empty JFK.
but you know, generally talking
Patrick
about,
Monahan is in the house. Hello, Patrick.
but if we talk generally about an artist and how actually coronavirus affect an artist process of working, doesn't really do.
Almost
Because
not
we
at
are-
all, right?
No, because we are used to solitude, we are used
Yeah.
to be alone. You know, when you create, you like to be in your studio, you don't like to kind of be with the crowd. So it's already some kind of natural habitat. I remember Anoni, you know, Anthony Johnson's my friend, when I asked him how he's doing, he said, I'm doing great. This is like I've been living like this all my life. Now all the world is doing it the same. You
Yeah,
know,
I think
that's
it's almost sort of perfect time for artists. If it wasn't causing so much distress and loss of life, we'd all be living like artists.
But talking about the plane and JFK, this was a really like science fiction movie. I was you know, first of all, I come from Vienna. Was the only one person, you know, checking in the luggage. I was told there will not be any food served on the plane because it's not possible anymore. And you know, I was it was in business class 3 people, in economy 12, and it was like private jet basically.
And
Nobody was there.
you told me that everybody in business class, you were coming back on a business class ticket. Everybody in business class had their own toilet, their own bathroom.
We had only 3 people, and each of us had own toilet disinfected. So I felt like really like the most secure place is to airport.
Yeah,
And
this is the way to travel.
when I arrived, the KLM flight was the only one land in JFK. There was no any other flight.
And
Absolutely.
how long did it take you to get from the flight to curbside and get in a car?
You know, 3 minutes. It was
Unbelievable.
literally 3 minutes. And also the
Unbelievable.
JFK to New York, if you drive, is 15 minutes. Everything is not
Yeah,
traffic.
incredible.
So this is a kind of side effect. But at the same time, you know, we know that the effects is disastrous, economic and
Sure.
unemployment and all the rest that we have to take in consideration. And this, we don't even know the truly effect of all this. But
Yeah.
my theory as an artist is that I believe that really coronavirus effect is hiding from us. I think that a mutation period, I think there is so much worse than we actually possibly can imagine.
I think it is too. And
General panic, we are kind of in denial.
I think there's a lot that we don't know. And I feel like there's a sort of the coronavirus is almost like a biblical visitation on us as a penance for our president, Donald Trump. But that's another conversation. Somebody just asked, you can't see this, but there are questions coming in all the time on the screen that we're reading. And somebody just asked a question about whether you are going to be able to stage. You were just in Munich working on the opera 7 Deaths, for which there's a beautiful new book, which you gave me a copy recently. Thank you. I meant to send you a text to say how beautiful it is. Somebody just asked us, are you going to be able to stage a virtual version of the opera?
You know, actually not, because, you know, it's very I mean, virtual version never going to look good. And unfortunately, you know, I need the public. The performance world is going to really be the most damaged by this coronavirus, because with performance, the public and you complete the work. And if you're not performing for the public but to empty stage, it's not the same energy. It's something is hugely missing. But I just got the message that we're possibly going to perform this in the beginning of September. It's going to be premiere in the normal theater, but for the half audience, because there's 22,000 seats. If they perform for 10,000, that means the each seat between will be empty. I don't know, you know, every news is changing every day. The one thing that what we really have to deal with is with uncertainty. You can't plan or predict anything for the next week.
Well, and of course, the other thing about that is that it will affect, I mean, if things stayed as they are, which they obviously can't, but any sort of performing arts space, I mean, it just doesn't function economically. So it's almost impossible to effectively run a program in that kind of environment for any performing arts spaces.
No, it's really catastrophic from that point of view. But you know, I was just looking Black Plague. You know, in the middle century. You know how many years was that? 15 years. It was in that time when half of the humanity was whipped off. So I have no idea how long is going to be this. I think that we're thinking we're going to open by September, or we're going to be open by end of the year. It's all like a dreaming. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a very strange. It's a strange moment.
Yeah.
So how are you? What are you reading at the moment? What are you listening to music-wise, and what are you thinking about in this time where we've all got the luxury, semi-luxury of having so much more time? What are you reading? What are you thinking about? What are you listening music-wise?
You know, we do something like that. Thought with my partner, we decide to do something that normally I've never done before, to read to each other the books, which is so different than you reading yourself. So we start reading Mishima. You know Mishima? And and we bought, I think, at least 10 of his books, like late ones. And we are reading now the Mishima. But it's so interesting, very complex and very disturbing character. You know that he actually.
Yeah, you could have started with something a bit more cheerful.
I know, but then we are switching between Mishima and Proust. And Proust is another complicated.
Well, if I can give you a tip, don't start with Tolstoy's War and Peace, because you'll wear yourselves out, and by the time you've finished, there'll be an antidote to the coronavirus. But here's a tip: Joyce's Ulysses, clocking in at just over 1,100 pages, was originally a sound poem, and it was designed to be read to each other. So if you started with that, you'd probably be quite happy.
Okay, I want to take this tip definitely. But you know, talking about the Proust, all his life he lived inside. He lived literally in his bedroom and his bed and in dining room. And sometimes go to the garden, very seldom. So somehow reading the Proust is like you almost kind of establish the feeling that we have all together with isolation and impossible to get out of the.
Well, and of course, Proust was also such a complete neurotic that he had his bedroom and his library and his dining room lined with cork so that it would restrict any noise entering the space whilst he was reading. There's Ectorus. Hello, Ectorus. How are you doing? So yeah, Proust had all his spaces lined with cork, not C-A-U-L-K, but C-O-R-K.
And the music, you know, concerning the music, I've been listening lots of opera lately, you know, because opera.
Well, that makes total sense.
And then, you know, I'm listening every single Maria Callas recordings, because for the 7 deaths of Maria Callas, I have to choose the best recordings possible. And the piece about Maria Callas is the idea that I have more than 30 years. And they say to me, but is this a little bit macabre that you are so obsessed by dying in this moment when people are really dying? But I always say this. Well,
you started planning it some time ago, so I think that's a little bit of a coincidence.
And it's also to do about dying for love, and this is some kind of human, you know, emotions that still the human being exists. Dying for love exists, not just woman, man, anybody.
I didn't realize until I was looking at the book the other day that you produced to accompany 7 Deaths, which is very beautiful. I didn't realize that you were both Sagittariuses.
And have a very difficult mother too.
I know you place a lot of stores.
We don't even talk about similarity, like the exact same nose and some other stuff.
Well, actually, there's a photograph of you and Callas in the book together, and I have to tell you, Marina, she died, I think I'm correct in saying, when she was a little bit younger than you are, and in her 50s. And there's 2 photographs of you, and there's one very recent photograph of you, and I'm not going to disclose your age because, you know, you're not squeamish about that. You're very open about that. But there's 2 photographs of you, and you at this age look a lot better than Callas did at the age that she was before she passed away. So
she suffered for wrong guy and somehow make her age.
Well, yeah, but come on, let's be fair. You've done that a few times yourself, so that, you know.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, that's
But
true.
now you're currently in better shape than she was at that point.
But I survived. She didn't survive. You know, the
That's
one
true.
thing that really saved me is the work.
And your technical support is a very nice guy, so we're all happy for that.
So I really need for me
Katie
is the
Henry just said Marina
safety.
has not aged at all, and it's true. I think you're actually regressing. I think you're going backwards.
Back to the backwards. I have no idea.
Back
But
to
anyway,
childhood.
I
So
feel good.
now listen, we're talking, and it's towards the end of the week. It's Thursday, and until Saturday, I think, or Sunday, the virtual version of Freeze Art Fair is still on, and we have a beautiful work of yours in that fair called The Hero, which is a black and white photograph. It's for those of you who don't know it, I'll describe it very briefly, but it's a black and white photograph of Marina sitting on a beautiful white stallion and holding a white flag. Now, I do know the story behind this because we've worked together for a long time, but it's a very important work, and it's about a relationship to your father. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, for me, this work was very important because, you know, my father was national hero, and he was also my own personal hero in life, and he was fearless and have the courage and have determination and really willpower that I hope I inherited at least a little bit of that kind of strength from him.
Just a small amount.
Just about a little bit, yes, I have to admit. And then, you know, when he died such a disappointment. He died because, you know, he really believed that what he was fighting for, the communism, equality, democracy, and all that, it was turned into the kind of red bourgeoisie, and everything was turning his ideals was just crumbling in the front of his eyes, and the Tito could not hold any of this. As we saw later on when he died, what kind of disaster came out in ex-Yugoslavia. So when he died, I wanted to make homage to him. And he was always riding white horse in every battle, everywhere, every photograph I have of him as a you know, general of the army. At that time, he was always on this white horse. So I went to south of Spain and find the most beautiful white horse I can. And I made this piece that I'm sitting on the horse, holding the flag. But one thing which is very contradiction here, the flag is white. And everybody knows the flag on the wind white is actually a surrendering.
Yeah.
Is when you actually give up. And
which your father never did.
He never did. But I also think that what he could not never do, and this was my some kind of goodbye to my father, but also some kind of message. You have to learn to surrender to change. The change is so important, and that he never could learn that. He just was a stoic soldier, and anything new he could not accept. And I'm just thinking how some pieces of art have so many meanings in different periods of humanity. And now thinking back, like now, you know, how difficult for us, all the humans here in this planet, to actually surrender to change. Because we have to confront our own fear. We have to really face uncertainty. We can't plan anything. We don't know what's going to happen, you know, economically with our families, and the death can come any minute. That's the really moment that you have to surrender to change. And this piece to me have many lives. So now is the Corona life of this year.
That's such an interesting interpretation of a work. I mean, the original version of that installation, the installation version of that work, you originally showed at the Herschel many, many years ago. And then you revisited it and remade this image in homage to your father. And there's other really interesting facts about your relationship with him and your mother and how that image came about, which of course are in your biography, Walk Through Walls. It talks about this quite extensively. But there's always an image that I've always loved that you've talked about is how your father appeared on this white horse in a forest in the middle of winter when the partisans were hiding from the Russians, and your mother was virtually dying, and swept her up onto the horse and took her away and saved her life.
Yeah, because my father loved beautiful women, and my mother had the beautiful hair, but everything was covered because she was in high temperature, had typhus, and she was really just there to lie to die. And he was fighting not for Russians, he was fighting for Germans.
Oh, the Germans.
The Germans was coming,
Well, it
and
depends which. If you turn to the left, it was the Russians. The right was the Germans. So.
no, no. And then the Germans was coming, and he was the last, actually last force behind. And there was retire. How you say when you're going backwards? How you call that?
Retreating.
Retreating. There was retreating, and there was lots of soldiers wounded and sick.
Yeah.
Just lying in the forest, and it was start snowing. So my mother was covered with a big thick blanket, and all you can see is the hair. And he, in that minute, which was really, between life and death, he had time to get out of his white horse, go to his knees, and open the blanket to see the face. But the face was good looking too. So he decided to take that beautiful woman on his horse. And
if that hadn't happened, you wouldn't be here. So we have.
Yeah, I was born later, but then
Yeah.
he bring her to the village, and she could only from the fever see in blur his face, and she stayed in this village something like 2 months to recover, and then she went back to the front, and then she was in a sanitate, picking the partisans wounded from the field, and at one point, full of blood, arrived a man that she recognized this is the same who saved her. And she gave him the blood because he was dying and nobody was actually giving blood at the time. She saved blood and saved his life. So they both saved each other's life. And I was born just after the war was finished, 46.
And then weirdly enough, Ulai, who sadly passed away this year recently, your long-term partner and performance partner, was also born on the same day as you. So there's this kind of these weird conjunctions between your mother and your father and you and Ulai for sure, anyway.
When you talk to Slavic people, there's so many of this kind of shit that you can't rationally explain.
Right.
we're full of it.
I have to ask you, because we get a question every week from Lady Issa Gray, and if I know you know who Lady Issa Gray is. She's only 11 months old, so I think she has a surrogate. But she sends in questions every week. And this week, Lady Issa Gray, who is Lauren's daughter, of course, has asked a question, and that is, what's the toughest performance you ever made?
I really think the toughest definitely was Artist is Present. There's no question. It's that, looks so simple and so, easy. But if anybody think it's easy, just sit 3 hours without moving and see what it means doing these 3 months. And 8 hours a day and 10 hours when the museum is open, 10 hours. It was something like it was superhuman.
So this, for people who are not making the connections, this is your performance at the Museum of Modern Art just over 10 years ago. And you were there for actually 3.5 months. We were there every day with you.
And you know that actually the 31st of May is going to be exactly 10 years.
Oh, wow.
This month.
Wow, amazing.
This month.
And I know from many, many days of being with you during that piece, putting you in the morning and seeing the shape you were in then and seeing the shape you came out in the evening, it was one of the toughest things I've ever seen anybody do. And if you don't believe that doing that for 3.5 months and sitting still and dealing with all those people is really intense and tough, you should have been with us when we took you out of that piece every night. I mean, you were wrecked.
But also, for me, every day could be the last. I never knew can I have energy to do the next day. And actually,
one of us is frozen. I'm not sure who it is.
I finish it. So what's the next question now?
Oh my goodness. If you were stranded on a desert island, what 5 items would you take with you?
What kind of items? You mean?
You can take 5 items. You can't take a person. They have to be items. What 5 items would you take with you if you're stranded?
And not food. We're not talking about food.
Yeah, you could take food. You could take books, music, but not a person.
Wow, 5 items. What I would take? I would take my old cashmere blanket
That's a good answer.
That I'm living with this and traveling, and every plane I'm using it. So this is number one. Number two, good walking shoes.
To walk around the island on?
To walk around the island and not step on snakes. The pair of glasses, so I can see the mosquitoes and insects, for sure.
That would be a good
One bowl that I can collect the food and kind of eat from.
Not a bowl, not a ball.
Bowl, like a bowl, yeah.
Yeah,
Food.
okay. Yeah.
And the fifth will be, what will be my fifth? I will not take the book. This is ridiculous. I will not take computer. I will take the emergency radio, so I can kind of find
No,
out.
you can't have an emergency radio. You could contact people with it.
Oh, you can't. Oh
No. You're stuck there. You're on your own. No emergency radios for you.
What I should take? I know. I would take a mirror.
Oh wow, that's super interesting.
Because with the mirror I can make a fire for pointing the sun.
You can do your hair.
I can also look myself, but I also give the signals with the mirror to the boat that I'm
You're cheating again, you see. You're trying to...
It's a very good answer.
It's a great answer, by the way.
I was also to get out of Ireland.
Yeah, I can tell you want to get out of there. Okay, what would be your favorite meal? What's your favorite meal? What's your favorite thing to eat? Comfort food. In a time of the coronavirus, what do you want to eat?
I like baby food.
Baby food.
I'm eating something called in Holland. Exists something where they give to the babies, but even the babies don't like anymore. It's the only person who like it, who bring me this food is a friend of mine, Natasha Jakobson, and this is Brinta. And this is a kind of oatmeal that you make with the milk, look like a glue. Doesn't have no taste, but this is the best comfort food I ever had. So
wow.
This is something that I like eating.
We should get Natasha to send us
It's called Brinta, and I was thinking if I ever have the show in the State Museum in Holland, definitely I want to make advertising for the brand.
We could get you sponsored.
They're not doing so well anymore, so I really have to kind of regenerate this brand.
After this, we could get you sponsored by the makers of Brinta, I should think. What was your Marina, what was your very first performance way before Ulay? What's the first thing you ever did?
Before Ulay?
Yeah. First ever performance.
You know, I had a few performances that I proposed, but I never could do it because I never had a permission to do it. And performance I need to really, execute in the front of audience. So my first performance was a rhythm 10 with the knives.
Yeah.
And playing the.
Well, I mean, start with a nice easy one, right?
I was so concerned about limits of the body. This was my main task at that time. What's the limit of human body? And working with the body it was always subject and object to my research, and still is.
I mean, one of my favorite, absolutely favorite things talking about you over the years has been when you talk about the fact that you were living at home with your mother at that time.
Yes.
You were sneaking out of the house to make these performances in the nude that your mother did not know about. And when she found, and then you'd go home afterwards, no superstar stuff here. You'd go home afterwards, you go home to your mother, and your mother wouldn't know where you'd been. And she'd say, if you had a nice day, dear, or something, I don't know. And then when she eventually found out, she literally gave you a good spanking because you'd been making these performances and you'd been in the nude, and she was concerned that you'd kind of compromised her in some way.
Yeah, but I have to Corfu. I was already 29 years old. I have to, I start performances in my 20s, but still at 29, I have to be home 10 in the evening. This was a Corfu. I can't be less than 10. If I come after 10, it will be like hell. Everything will fall on my head, and I will be beaten up. So, and this was, in comedy's time, there was no way that you can have your own place.
Novo has joined us.
You can't rent anything. You can't. People don't understand. The generation live in one same house. The grandmothers and grandchildren and mothers and fathers. It's a mess.
Yeah.
So this was very difficult. So I was doing very avant-garde pieces that are now the part of history of the performance art. At the same time, I have to be home 10 o'clock p.m.
So all you young artists who think you've got it tough now, you have no idea.
Oh, by the way, now comes the joke about this time. I just
hang on.
No. Just this little joke to talking
okay.
about is about subject. He said when the girl from the good home, why the good girl from the good home go to bed 5 p.m. in afternoon?
Oh God, I'm not going to answer that one. I'll get into so much trouble.
To be 10 o'clock at home.
All right. So I just wanted, I wanted to acknowledge that whilst we were talking about that, Novo, our friend in Cuba, just joined us. I don't know where Novo is, but if you're in Havana, hello Novo. If you're in Madrid, hello Novo too. So something is not very well known about you, Marina. Because I always, people always say to me, what's Marina Abramović really like? She's making all these very tough performances. She must be such a doer, sort of serious person, and she must be so intense and all the rest of it. And I have a very tough time convincing them that you're actually not at all doer or that way inclined, that you're actually very funny, and that you are a constant font of very, very risque, dirty jokes.
I'm hilarious, basically.
Yeah, you are. I know you are, but I don't think everybody else knows you are.
But the problem with this is with the jokes these days. Everything is so the how you call this
politically correct.
Politically correct that you can't tell about any joke. If we had have this kind of political correctness now in the 70s, the 80%.
Oh my God, we'd all be in prison.
Not be existing.
Yeah.
All of this art will not exist because
none of us would have a job, I can assure you.
So that means that political correctness is really working against creativity. I'm so much against political correctness in that way.
So just to prove that when I tell people this is not incorrect, do you have a joke for us?
I have the joke who doesn't include the Jewish people, doesn't include Mexican people, doesn't include the African American, doesn't include any of this.
How can it possibly be funny?
Can you imagine? I actually have the joke. I have the joke about old British lady.
Oh, that's excellent. So,
and this is the joke.
Basically a joke about my mother, is it?
No, it's not. But by the way, this is the joke that I use for the fundraising for Royal Academy sponsorship.
Oh, it must be clean and appropriate then.
Not at all. I mean, it was absolutely scandalous. But looks like that really helped fundraising. So it served the purpose.
Did you raise any money, or did they shut the Royal Academy down?
No. They're raising money for my show, which is nice.
Okay, good.
We are fine. But I had a director of Royal Academy who he had a conversation with me about the show, which was 45 minutes, question and answers, and after this we had a fundraising dinner. So with the 40 people who actually are donating money for the show. So I'm in this very peculiar situation, which I don't like to be, because an artist has to sit there through the dinner, be charming, talk about everything, and not pretend that he is interesting, that fundraising is crucial for his show. So to break this situation, I came with this joke. So I said, so there is a little British lady. A little British lady come to the bank, and she, in a small suitcase, she had 250,000, the pounds cash. And the manager of the bank say, I would like to open the account. Manager looked this money. He's very suspicious and say, this is lots of money. I can't open the account, but without really advice of our director. So I'm going to call the director. So director arrived. Little lady showed the money, said, I have to open the account. He said, it's a lots of money and just cash. We are very worried to know, how you got this money. And the little lady said, it's very simple. I'm doing the bets. And she said, what kind of bets are you doing? He said, but I don't tell you. If you want to do bet with me, then let's do it. So the director is a little bit bored, and the job, he doesn't have this kind of ladies every day. So he said, okay, let's do the bet with you. What is your bet? He said that one of your balls is smaller than other.
All right, hang on. I've got to interject here. One of his balls, not his bowls, is bigger than his balls is bigger than the other.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and they say if we bet for £5,000, and I come next morning, tomorrow, to check. So the director is totally amused and said, why not? This is crazy. So they check the hands. The director go home. Next morning he wake up, he take a shower, he look himself in the mirror. His balls are perfectly fine, balls, same size, nothing wrong. So he's in good mood to get easily £5,000. He come to the bank. The lady is with the lawyer already there and said, this is my lawyer, I want to be everything very correct, just correct, this is the important thing. So he said, the only way to do that is I have to go on my bed knees, I have to kneel down, and you have to take your trousers down. So he doesn't give a shit because he's an old lady, why not put his trousers down? And he put his trousers down, lady go down and check his balls. And check left, right, move a little bit.
I like the hand action.
No, that's very important part.
Very important.
So goes left and right. And in this particular moment, there is a huge noise behind him. It's something crash on the floor. He look, and lawyer is absolutely flat on the floor without conscious. And the little lady, totally not surprised. And the director said, what happened to the lawyer? He said, I just bet him £250,000 that I will have your balls by this morning in my hands. So now, this is what I'm saying to the 40 people who gave money for sponsoring for the very official dinner in Royal Academy. And then I add a few things. Now, me as an artist, please don't let me go around the banks in England and check the balls of different directions of the banks to raise the money for the show. So it's pretty good ovation, and I think mission accomplished.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. If you didn't know before, Marina Abramović is not a doer person who has no sense of humor. She actually spends her life telling very, very, very filthy jokes. That was one of the cleaner ones I've heard.
The cleanest, I know.
Pretty much the cleanest, yeah. Thank you for keeping it clean on Instagram TV. So I have one, unless we get any more questions specifically in from the audience that are coming through. I have one last question for you. And actually, it's something I've never asked you. It's a great question that my colleague here just slipped me. And the question is, you've done performances where, Julia Peyton-Jones, hello, Julia Peyton-Jones. You've done performances with snakes. You've done performances with all sorts of abhorrent things. You've pushed yourself to the absolute limits physically and mentally. Is there anything that really scares you?
Yes, deep sea and sharks.
Oh, really?
I think this is something to do with my lesson of swimming that my father threw me in the middle of the sea and let me survive. And since then, I have this incredible deep fear of the sea that I can't see the bottom of it. And sharks. And I believe if there's never been a shark in that sea, if I'm swimming, the shark will know that I'm there and come just for me.
So you probably are not a big fan of Jaws. You don't watch the film very often.
No, I am not. I'm really, really seriously afraid of sharks.
So if we close out this segment by singing the theme music from Jaws, you'll run out of the room screaming.
No.
I've got to say hello to Julia Peyton-Jones, who's just sent us kisses from London. Julia, we love you. How are you? Efra Taha has just asked, who is your most inspirational artist?
You asked me?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely Te-Ching.
Te-Ching.
Te-Ching is the most inspirational artist for me because, if you make work of art, and in every work of art, you want to put everything in and to be the best for a work of art, but you never succeed because there's always something missing. So that's why artists keep creating more and more and more. But Te-Ching really proved me that actually with 5 pieces of art, each one duration 1 year, he can complete his task. And he really transforms through his work. And when I ask him what he's doing now, he looked at me with a smile and he said, I'm doing life. I'm just doing life. So that means that the work of art can transform human being. He's my real proof. He's a real master.
And Jay Mitchell just asked, what advice do you have for performers trying to take risks and build courage in their work?
performance is always the same. You have to give everything you have. And 100% is not enough. 120% is not enough. 150. You have to go over the 100 as much as you can to the end. That every molecule of your energy is in it. And only when you give everything, that then it can't be questioned. It's good or bad because you can do better. But and then you need all your courage, strength, determination, willpower, and everything you have. It's such a serious job. You know, with the painting, you can stop and you can come back next morning, and you can do more, or you can change it, the image. But with performance, it's one thing go. You know, it's that incredible, like volcanic outburst, and you
Marina,
can't really get it.
if you had not become an artist, which is, I know, kind of not really a conceivable question for you, but if you had to choose another profession, you weren't an artist, what would it be?
There to be two professions. I would love to sing. Singing for me is something that I don't have any talent, but I would definitely be in real estate. I love real estate. I love potential.
You'd be the singing real estate broker of New York.
It's getting the really old fucked up building and making something beneficent out of it. And this could combine with singing, it will be perfection. Singing real estate agent.
That is absolutely not at all what I expected you to respond with. All right, so we know
maybe actually stand-up comedy is my secret wish, but I'm not.
No, I've always said that I have a secret desire to be a stand-up comedian. Maybe we could do a double act.
Yeah, I just made the image of me as a clown, as clown is such an important image. Cindy Sherman makes a beautiful series of clowns, but I'm very fascinated about the clown and what that means, the sadness and happiness at the same time.
Well, at least you're not frightened by clowns, you're frightened by sharks instead. So. All right, well, listen, it's been really sweet of you to join us for tea time today. We've taken up enough of your time. That's been brilliant. Thank you to everybody for joining us today. And thank you especially to Marina for doing it and all the people who sent in questions. We love you very much, and we look forward to being able to not socially distance very soon and see you in person very soon.
I have something to add.
Okay.
I've been cheating all the time. I'm not drinking tea, I'm drinking ginger water, and I want that everybody with me really giving this advice. The pieces of ginger in a boiling water, it's perfection. It's really strengthens your immune system and is good for you.
I think that's a perfectly reasonable thing to drink at tea time. I think we can forgive you that little indiscretion.
Okay, that's all.
that's not a problem at all. Okay, well, next week we will be talking to Sam Moyer, and so thanks, Marina, very much, and we will speak to you very soon. Big kiss.
Bye.
Bye.